Hello. So today on our blog, I wanted to talk about where you're meeting people on the ladder and how that relates to your book. So this may sound a little confusing. So I'm going to start from the very beginning on this. Um, Picture a ladder. All right. And normally when people get on a ladder, they want to head to the top, right? So you step on that bottom rung and you work your way up. But that's not always where you're meeting people on the ladder. If someone comes into your world, where do you want them to be on that ladder to get them to where you need them to go? And you have to think about that with your book because you want to make sure that you're bringing people in at the right point with the book, getting them ready to step into your world so they can get whatever wins they need to get from your book and be ready to work with you, be ready to hire you, be ready to join your community, whatever goal you have. So you have to know where you're going to meet them, which rung is it going to be. So let's say that you're a business coach. I work with a lot of people who are business coaches, and I know that there are a lot of them out there. So if you're a business coach, for example, and you want people to be able to step into your program at a certain point and know what's going on, then you want to seed all those things to prep them to work with you. You want to start giving them those little sort of things, maybe some of the same sort of stuff you give in your free community. Those simple wins in your book are going to be able to get them to the point where they say, well, I've got through this stuff. This is easy. I understand what I want to do. I know, like, and trust this person. Now I want to work with them. So if you're bringing them in at the bottom of the ladder, you need to know once they get to rung 3, they've got all this information from the bottom rung to rung 3 that they've kind of built their foundation. And at rung 3, that's when they're ready to start working with you. It's just something that you have to think about. What do you want people to do with that book? Where do you want them to come in? What do you want them to know before they can move on to the next step? Think of it as kind of like a pre-course for working with you. And you want to entice them. You want them to understand that, coaching with you, for example, is going to be the next thing to do after that book. And I will say, a lot of people think, oh, okay, so the book is just kind of a teaser sort of thing. They don't really get anything out of it. They have to know this stuff, and then they get to know my story. And then after that, I give them the good stuff. No, that's not it at all. So you want to be able to get your voice in there, get your story in there, get all the stuff that's going to prep them to love you, but you also want to give them some sort of a win. So, for example, when I wrote my book, The Spark Method, I gave some of the very basic things. So you understood how you could construct a book, just very basically, how you could construct a book, some of the things you need to know about what to do after you construct your book, because obviously you're not going to make a book and go, all right, I'm done, and just let it sit on your computer. You want it to move on to the next level. You want to publish it. So if I pass that book off to somebody, it's going to get them through that basic part of the ladder, maybe the first 3 rungs where they say, you know what, I had no idea about the writing process. I had no idea all this stuff is involved in the book process. I just felt called to write a book. Once they get through those little pieces, they understand kind of the background. Yes, they could go off and write their book on their own, which is fabulous, because if that's where they are, confidence wise and, being able to actually write, powerful, amazing. Yes, I love that. Because I don't want anybody wasting their time and money with me if they don't need me. I want them to know, hey, I really need some extra help, or I don't need any extra help. I am good. This was enough. I want them to know that. I want to empower people to get their stories out there. So then once they get through that process, my book acts in 2 different ways. If they read through that and they go, wow, that's a lot. That's kind of complicated, and I really need someone holding my hand, then yes, they would reach out to me and say, all right, I need to work with you. Or they might say, hey, I can do it myself, but I need somebody to edit and publish this book and I want it to look super professional. Then they would also reach out to me because I've given them the process to have the background done and be able to pass the book off to editing, cover, etc. So just a couple examples there, because I want you to be able to use your book to show off your knowledge and build, part of your pipeline to get people into working with you, to get those who need you to reach back out and work with you, because your book, your story is so powerful that it can make a lot of change. And yes, it can make change on this level. Your book can be out there doing the change, helping a lot of people, but it can also connect people back to you and let them know, hey, I've got to this rung. Here I am on the ladder. Now I'm ready to work with somebody and get all the way to the top. So think about that ladder whenever you are working on your book. Make sure that you are getting people to the point where they're ready to either leap off on their own, which is fine. Some people are going to leap off on their own, or get them to the point where they say, next step, come back to the author.